Good morning and welcome all to Tiki Data Day by SportsDynamics. You're wondering what it is? Well, you will know more in just a few minutes. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Stefano Bernabino. I'll be your moderator throughout today's session, the very first Tiki Data Day. Who is organizing that? SportsDynamics. Do you want to know more? I'm pleased, honored, and thrilled to be joined just in a few seconds by the co-founder and CEO of SportsDynamics, Arnaud Santin. Here you are. Welcome and thank you for organizing this event, Arnaud. First of all, let's talk a bit about SportsDynamics. What is it exactly, SportsDynamics?
Good morning, Stefano. So SportsDynamics is a data science and software company focusing on sports and football in particular. So we provide dynamic, customizable, and automated data, mainly to clubs, but also to media and other type of clients.
Statistics, metrics, performance data. That sounds very interesting. And today you're launching this new initiative, Tiki Data Day, a special event. What is it and what's the goal of this series of events?
Yeah, so for us, there was always a discrepancy between what we were listening to after the games in terms of what the traditional media and even the social media were providing in terms of data and football analysis, and what we're seeing with especially our clients in clubs, who for us are the real experts. And so what we wanted is to bring the best of data and the best of football and to create a series of Tiki Data Days conferences where you will always see not only coaches, analysts, but also journalists, which really uses data to analyze football performance. And you will have the best specialists, which most of the time you don't hear in traditional media.
Well, thank you, Arnaud. And we invite all our viewers to interact, ask their questions, and react to this very first Tiki Data Day, this kicking off event starting today. How is it structured? Like a football game, we have 90 minutes, 2 half times or 45 minutes. The first one in English. For international audience, you will see very much Bundesliga focused. And then a second half in 1 hour and 15 from now, 10:15 CET, in French, with a more French-oriented audience. So without almost no transition at all. Let's move into the first half of this Tiki Data Day opening session. And we are delighted to invite one of the youngest assistant coaches of the Bundesliga scene, assistant coach video for Hoffenheim, 31 years of age, Timo Gross. Hello, Timo.
Hi, Arno. Hi, Stefano. Nice to be here, and thanks for having me today.
Thank you for being with us today, Timo. Just before you get started with the first session of the day, tell us something. 31 years of age and being already assistant coach of such an innovative club like Hoffenheim. What's the secret? What's the story behind this career, this adventure?
So, Stefano, thanks for these warm words at the beginning. I think I started at the club in 2013. And for me, it was a great start to get to know the knowledge of these people here, the experience of dealing with innovative tasks all the day. And so since then, I make my steps. 3 years, I was in the youth department. After that, I came to the first team. And now I am 3 years at least in the role. I am now head of analysis and on the other hand, assistant coach video, which means that I have the possibility to structure the club regarding the developmental stages of the youth department and the first team regarding video analysis. And on the other hand, I work with the coaching staff and together with the players in the daily routine to prepare matches and to do the own analysis after the games. So it's a great role. And for me, the combination between the scientific approach and the structure and as well then to build a bridge towards the practical usage of these new findings on the pitch. This is great for me, and here I can combine both and try to help the coaching staff to get to the aims we have.
That's excellent, and that's where also SportsDynamics comes in as an added value to help you in your daily job. And the performances are there because you're having a great season so far in the Bundesliga. But you're not alone today, because in the concept of the Tiki Data Day, you come in with a team of experts, a team of teammates that the Timo you have chosen yourself that will help and have even deeper insights, analysis, and interaction within the session of the day. And I'm delighted to introduce you our golden lineup of guests for this opening session. Here they are. We start with Simon Lachmann, analyst for Bayer Leverkusen. Hi, Simon. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. I'm fine, thanks. Just listening because it's a lot of people in my office right now, but I'm good, thanks.
Thank you, Simon. Then we continue with the head of analysis of Eintracht Frankfurt, Marco Schuster. Hello, Marco. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you? Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. And then we move on beyond the borders of Germany and Bundesliga to be joined by data scientists of Olympique de Marseille, Salim Tabarani. Bonjour, Salim. How are you?
Hi, thanks for the invite. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Salim, and you'll be also with us in the French session that is following this international one. And from Germany Bundesliga to Ligue 1 in France, we move to a former performance analyst of Leeds United, Andrés Clavijo, very international. Hola, Andrés, ¿qué tal? How are you? Andrés, we understood you're fine, but I think you're muted.
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys doing? Thank you for the invite.
We are doing great, thank you, and really honored and happy to have such a golden roster of experts today. And we keep moving with Alexandre Kerveillant, performance analyst of FC Sion. You're French, living in Switzerland with international profile. Hello, Alexandre, how are you?
Hello everyone. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Alexandre. And we finish with Carl Edwards, analyst for Rotterdam United FC. Hello, Carl. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
Thanks, Carl. So, well, we are ready to go. You get all the ingredients of the Tiki Data Days. We have Timo who is ready to kick off with his insight angle topic of the day with our group of experts that will interact, will discuss, will really bring us more in depth into today's topic. So as you can see on time is clocking, it's now 8 minutes into the first half, so we're ready to go. Timo, the floor is yours. I think that your presentation of the day it's about cross data insights and practical outcome. Please share us your knowledge and your showcase, and then we'll have time to discuss further with our very prestigious panel of experts of the day. Thank you, Timo.
Thank you, Stefano. Yeah, I think earlier before I talked about the combination between the scientific approach and the possible outcome on the pitch. And I think that especially therefore, it is great to have this topic today. So today we are talking about data insights and the practical outcome, especially regarding the crosses which are played in the game. And I think for this, just a quick overview, what we will in the presentation today. So what we have today is like the current situation, just to explain a little bit what is at the moment present regarding our work. Then our questions and need around playing crosses in the game, what is necessary for us at the club regarding as well our playing style. And then to get you as well on board a little bit regarding what we have done. So how was the start with our analysis regarding the topic crosses? What did we do regarding training? And to take you on the trip to have to dig a little bit deeper, to have a quite better insight into the data. We will have a look at the detailed analysis. And of course, the outcome. So what is now the situation when talking about all these data facts? How do we bring them on the pitch? As well, I think you will never stop digging deeper and getting a better level of asking questions and getting a better level of answering these questions. So there is always a further analysis. And this is, I think, one core topic as well, that we won't stop analyzing, and that this analysis is going more and more in a deeper level. So to start with, I think we can have a quick look at the status quo. So what is the current situation? And Stefan, you already talked about our situation now in the league, and it's great to see. And perhaps as well, the topic crosses can be related to this. So what we need to cause is, in a quick sentence, is danger for the opponents within the topic crosses. So what do we find? I think in the media you often see that we got many crosses. If you see like the stats on the left-hand side, you see like all the crosses in the game. So we are ranked on second place, which is a good situation. And when you see then as well some other facts, if you look at the graph down below, you see the goals from crosses. So the relation between the normal number of crosses and then the goals is also good. So there must be something behind. And if you compare it then to like the other facts on the side, crosses per goal and crosses per shot on goal, you can have a quite better understanding of what is necessary and what we are focusing on. Because what means efficiency regarding the crosses? Is it only the goals, or is it like how often compared to the outcome, the goals? And this is like something which is now at the moment presented through the media. As well, if you can read the sentence which the coach from Köln is given after the game. He said that Raums Flanken, the best of the Bundesliga, which means the crosses from Raum, the best in the Bundesliga. And then we ask us the question, how did we get to this status? How did we get to this current situation? Is it just a player, or is it more? And I think this is like one good question to ask, to go more deeper and get better insights what is in behind. So what we can do is like going into a next step, because what you've seen now was like all the beneficial aspects of a cross. But if you have like the scientific approach and look a little bit deeper in the science, you can see that a cross is not always be seen as being one of the beneficial elements to score a goal. And this is like a little bit paradox, because if you think in the media, you're presented as being like one of the good teams using crosses and related to danger for the opponent goal. You think that it is good to use this element as being a potential danger for the opponent goal. But if you look at the science section, so if you see now one paper which says, I just read it out, Paradox of Crosses in Association Football, a game theoretic explanation. And there you can see that this on the left-hand side, Sarkar, and as well, like others, like as well, you can see here, crossing soccer has a strong negative impact on scoring, which also shows that maybe the element of a cross is not that good to be beneficial for winning games. And that's why we had a quite deeper look into the data, because if you see these papers on the left-hand side, they are all dealing with this information, but without having a look at tracking data. So this was the next step. And that's why you have on the right-hand side, Wu et al. And he is more concentrating on tracking data. That's why he can concentrate on running path, more on speed of players. So more details, more components, which are maybe interesting when looking at crosses. And that's why I can read it as well out in this case. What Wu has found out. In practice, what it means is the players are making correct tactical decisions. When players are more likely to cross, they will have better offensive results. So this is a big contrast to what is been stated before. And that's why if you have now the possibility of using tracking data, you get more informations out. And this was something which is essential for us to do the next step. Because if we now know through the media, okay, it's all presented that we're good in crossing, but what is in behind? What is necessary to look at? And now we get more to the situation to know, okay, what are the KPIs in behind the cross? And is it just the cross giver, or are there more players included? So that was like a short status quo where we started our analysis. And now we can move a little bit further, because there you can see it's a big cocktail out of all these different views on crosses. So what we do is like bringing them all together. And what we found out is like we have to look at a differentiated view of the individual components of a cross. So it is more than just the cross giver. Is it more than just goals after crosses? And that's why this was the task. And therefrom we started our analysis. We had the questions, what are the reasons behind these facts? And what is necessary to cause danger for the opponent when crossing the ball? And I think this is something which is quite easy to answer at the first step. But if you look deeper into the data, you will get more and more answers. And this is something which is quite interesting. And I think on the next slides, I will have the possibility to show you more about it. Because we talk at some point about components, about variables, which are then beneficial. And the big thing about this is you not only have the scientific approach, you have the practice on the pitch, and you have the players which are working on the pitch. And you need to give them something where they can focus on, and something where they know what to do. Because if you just have some facts and figures more concentrated on data points, they don't know at the end what to do. And that's why I think communication with data points is one core topic. So how can I bring them, these data points, these answers on my questions, on my data questions to the players, and to achieve then better results? And that was the aim. So the practical approach was quite big to have. So what we did in the first step was the scientific approach to list down all the variables which come to our minds, which could be a possible way to measure at the end the way of the cross, and how the cross should be played. And I think this is a good starting point, and this only should give you a first insight, and is more on the surface what is possible when measuring and when bringing all the variables together. So what we have here, for example, is the pressure metric, so the time ahead metric. So it is necessary to know what is the pressure on the ball when crossing for the player, for the cross giver. So this is one core topic, to know how is the pressure. And what we could do is we could measure it. We could measure it with a time ahead metric. So we know we can freeze in to a certain time all the players, and then through different components like the speed of the players, the distance to the players, the speed of the ball, and all this together makes us possible to measure the pressure on the player with the ball. And but this is just one cofactor. I think we have many cofactors which need to be viewed individual, but at the end need to be viewed in a context, because all summarized together brings us then the right insight to deal with the data points. So what I as well mentioned, I think, is the distance between the cross giver and the nearest teammate, for example. Then we have the area of convex hull, which means that all the players which are in the box, because we don't only talk about the cross giver. This is one big core topic, but the other core topic is how do the players in the box behave? And that's why how is the area, the players or the potential receivers in the box, how big is it? So how is distance between these players? And over the area of convex hull, we can get a little bit more deeper insight how they are positioned in the box. And then one other topic is like the ratio of the number of offensive and defensive players. So to know how many players on the one hand do I get into the box, but what is the ratio? is it like 3 times less than the defenders? So how is the possibility to score a goal when there are a lot of defenders in the box? So to get this data point as well out of the analysis. And other things like space occupation, speed of the receiver, and so on and so on. But this should give you at first a short little insight to get more information about what is necessary as a starting point. And from this scientific way of getting inside the topic, we also have the practical way. And I think when talking about the practical way, we need to give something to the players, which I mentioned earlier before. And I think this is something which is necessary for us. So for the cross giver, we need to find a classification of crosses. So we need to define target zones and locations of the cross givers, which help the players to know what we're talking about. And if we are talking about all the time about the same topics, about the same classifications, we all know what to do in a certain situation. And this helps the cross giver on the one hand, but as well the players inside the box to get the right position at the end. And that's why this is just a quick overview and just gives you a short and briefly overview where could be zones and where could be a potential cross giver located. This is just an overview. What is necessary to know is that we as TSG talk about these classifications. So we talk about our own data set. So it's not that we get the crosses which are presented through other data delivers. So we define at the end our crosses and our potential locations where the cross giver can play the ball into the box, into the penalty box. And this is just a short overview. This is something which is very interesting to define these areas and these zones, because on the one hand, they are quite dynamic, depending on the position of the player. And as well, on the other side, if you see there is like a cross from the left or from the right, so there's a different view in it. And definitely they are also overlapping. So that's why it is like a difficult task to go more in. But we solved it over the days we worked on it. And now we have a quite good overview. What are the different crosses, or the types of crosses, and regarding as well the different locations of the players. So this was one practical example we tried to get the players involved into. Another thing is like the running path. So where do the players need to run, and where do they need to be at the possible situation when the cross is giving in? So at one thing, we need to hire the number of players which are running into the box. This was one big core topic for us. The other thing is that we need to define the running path. So we need to know where the players should run to, or is there a possible running path which is quite beneficial to get more space. And then we talk about the combination between, this is the practical approach, but we can measure it through, for example, space occupation, or through the number of the players, and to see like their running path and what is then beneficial. Do I take a player with me, a defender with me, when I do a certain run, and then I open another space? So to get this presented through data, this is something which is necessary for us to get into the next step, to ask then other questions, and to show as well the players at the end, because they need to learn from it as well. And if they have then the combination between data points and as well the combination between the practical view on it, this is for me the best way to support them. So what we did is, with these first steps of starting analysis, we tried to get more view on the training. And therefore I have chosen 3 pictures from a possible situation in the game. And what we did is, on the one hand, we did the video feedback. So we dealt with the players to show them different types of crosses. Then there was the classification. So we talk all about the same. And we have as well the training drill, so to show them what is necessary. And if we look at these easy pictures, I think we can all see and recognize where is the space and what is possible for the player with the ball, and what is necessary to know for the player who's doing the running path. So on the upper picture, we can see that there is like a big space in between the position of the goalkeeper and the defender line. So what is possible with the player on the ball? It is possible to make an early cross into exactly this space. And if the cross giver knows that there's a player which is expecting exactly this, it comes to our good performance at the end and to higher the possibility of score a goal at the end. If we then look at the picture down in the game against Wolfsburg, we also see that there's a possibility. But there, what I mentioned earlier before, maybe there's like a good running path which creates space. And maybe the early cross, what I mentioned before, to put the ball between the defending line and the goalkeeper is not the right pattern to use. So there's maybe something different. And to show these to the players is great. And at the end, we have like as well on the right hand side the match, and there we can see like there's through running path there's opening one space, and we can then use the space to create danger for the opponent. And so we have three different situations, and that's why it is good for me to see how players react on this, and if we can support them as well, that through running paths, through a certain position on the field, it is, and through the classification, not to forget the classification, we know that we make some steps in the development of using crosses. And then we can as well have a look at the training, and that's why I just move over to the training and go on with a video like this. So what we can see here, it's just an easy one, but what you can see here is like doing it often and often and often, and knowing like this, okay, there's a second situation. So I have to move again and then bring my players into the box, into the danger area. Then we move to the second. But what we have to do is like, we have to sprint. We have to do something to get to the situation that there is like a possibility to score. So we have to create space, and then there's a possible way to score a goal. So this combination was like as well the practical approach which we did. And I think I move a little bit forward just to get you more then on the data perspective, because then now we can concentrate more on the detailed view. And what we can do is now we can see here as well the detailed analysis. And if we compare it now with the situation at the beginning, we see that here are other numbers. And this is as well related to dealing with our data at the end, because I think the values at the end, they are more or less stable. So we got the same ranking at the end. But the question of how we classify crosses, we get another number out of it. So what we did is, you can see here on the left-hand side, like a normal data output. So we can see as well, like at the beginning, Cologne is very good with a total number of crosses, and Hoffenheim is ranked on the second place. Then it is also good to have like, when looking at these points and what is necessary for us, maybe to mention here, that we want to show these informations not only for our own analysis, but also as well to use it for opponent preparation, and at some point as well for the scouting department. So we found out that regards to crosses, but possession adjusted, that we are as well like ranked very high, what you can see here on the right-hand side in the graph. But what is as well necessary to see is that Union Berlin is quite good regarding their possession adjusted data points. So that's why they have not that much possession, but using the element of a cross is ranked very high within their possession. So that's also good to know regards to then opponent analysis, for example. So this should give you a first insight about a more detailed view. And to move on with the next slide is giving you, I think, as well a quite better view on it. So what we have here is how many players do we get into the box? So what is the occupation in the box? So what we try to find out is how many players do we get into the box? Is it a high number compared to other clubs, or is it not that high? And what you can see here as well is like the starting point of the cross. So to start with a cross giver, which is like in the ball contact with the ball, and the end of the cross, which means that the ball is on the one hand out of play, or the ball is touched by a player. So this is the evolution. And what you can see here is that we have got a very good and high ranking. So that's why we got a good potential to score a goal, because we got many players into the box. And this means that we have got a good situation for the cross giver, because he also recognizes there are many players in the box, which then relates back, okay, it's a good potential to cross the ball. So there's a relation between these findings. And as well, at the end of the cross, we see that it is good ranking for us. But what you can see as well here is, like, if you look at Bayern Munich, they have like a big discrepancy between the starting point and the end point. And this could also be then a good way to ask more questions. Why is it like this? What is the behavior in between? So to have a qualitatively look at it, are the running path different, or is the ball given from a wider position, because the way into the box takes a little bit longer? And then to define the right moment when it's good to be in the position. So is it even good to be at the start into the box, or at the end of the cross in the box? And this is also necessary to know. Good. In the next slide, you can see what is then, especially for us, necessary to know the detailed analysis, like the defender-attacker ratio. So even if we get many players into the box, how is the situation with the defenders? If there's a team which is defending all the time with many players, perhaps it is good that we get many players in the box, but how do we behave when talking about these cross situations? Do we really get a benefit out of our running path because we did them, and that's why we got more players in the box than the defending team? And this is as well something which is shown here, and which is quite beneficial for us, because what you can see here is that we've got 1.5 as a factor, as a stat, and that means that if we have like 2 offensive players, we've got 3 defenders in the box. So this means that this could also be something where we have to ask more questions about, because when we know that we get this this ratio in the box, maybe we can integrate it as well into the training. Because if we then know, okay, this situations happens quite often, we know that we can train it that often. So it is a different if you maybe get 2 attackers and 3 defenders, then 2 attackers and 4 defenders. So to review this means that you can integrate it as well into training. This builds as well the bridge from data point to the practical outcome. And this is now the section of the outcome, because what I want to give you is a short overview, and we don't have that much time. That's why I have to hurry as well, that we can discuss afterwards a little bit more. And I just wanted to round up all this with a good outcome and show you the situation within the season, because this was necessary for us to know. So what you've seen is that we focused more on this topic as one topic aside many others. So this is only one topic. But what you can see here is, like, at the beginning, we need to find the way to get in and make it clear to the players. And afterwards, it is evolving. So on the one hand, you can see here with a blue graph and with a blue line that at the beginning it needs time to get the players involved, to show them more of the way they have to be positioned. And then afterwards, after we got a little time of training, got a little bit time of video feedback, we came to the point that it is growing and growing. And you can see here that throughout the season, the total number of crosses are growing. So this is one point. But related to the fact that we will bring more players in, it could be something which helps us to know, okay, when we bring more players in, perhaps the number of crosses is higher. And now we turn it the other way around. So now we know that we got many crosses in, but how is the number of the players in the box? And now you can see it as well here. So what we did is as well that we higher the number of players in the box. And that's why there's a relation again. And that's why it means for us as well effect, if we higher the number, the better you can give the cross in the box, the higher you score. And this means for us a good efficient approach to see if it's beneficial to use the element of a cross. Now we move to the next, and this means as well the defenders attackers ratio. And now we can see that the blue line is lowering down, and this means a very good thing, because then it gives you the insight that it's more that we have like a lower stat, which means that the ratio isn't that big, that we get many players in the box regarding then the other number of the defenders. And here as well, another fact which is essential for us and which gives us space to ask more questions. I know it's just the surface, but it is like a first insight for you as well, because what we want is not just talking about the goals, at least. If we talk about an efficient cross, we want to talk about what is else possible. So to differentiate the different outcomes. So we got the possibility to rank it for goals, which you already seen. We got to rank it for shots after a cross, which is also good. But did we reach the teammate, or did we hit as well the target zone, or was it unsuccessful? So then it is it is better to see if the players behave in the right way, and we can work with the players in a detailed view. So if we, for example, hit the target zone, it is great because the player hit the target zone, but another player who should make the running path wasn't there. So why wasn't he there in this certain situation? And this gives us more space to give a value to the cross. And this is like the main and core point for us, to give value to the outcome. And I think I jump over this quite quickly, because at the end we have like a final result, and this is just a video file where we scored a goal, and this just summarizes all the data points which I showed you. And what I can see here is the cross giver on the left hand side, and this was the goal against Bayern Munich. And this is good to show here because it's like a perfect example to show the running path and to show the positions at the starting point of the cross. What we have here is like an advantage, because we have a good position of the central striker who is in a good position. Then we have another one who is making a running path as well into the open space. So that's why there is a great space occupation then for both of the players in the danger zone, in the box. And then we have on the second post as well 2 players which are there to be in a good position. And one player was in a right good position related to the cross giver, because he made at the end the goal, and was Baumgartner, and he scored from the second post. So to summarize everything, is here the case that we got a good position because we trained it a lot to bring the players in the box and then to have there a good situation. And this leads as well to my last slide and gives you a short overview why I won't stop analyzing the game and why we won't stop analyzing the game, because perhaps the second point at first, because it fits perfect to the last slide. The rest defense. Okay, we bring much or many players in the box, cause much danger for the opponent, but we need to find a balance between defending and scoring goals. Because at the end, if we concede many counterattacks out of these situations, because we don't get that much rest defense or view on the rest defense, it is not beneficial. So there must be as well the question, at which point do we get many counterattacks when bringing players into the box? Is there a certain amount of players which are necessary to bring in to cause danger? But what is the number to be aware of a good rest defense? So this is one core topic to get a quick view on it as well. And at the end, what I told you is like to measure a little bit more the value of a cross. So it is good to see that we make goals out of the cross, but we want to see how often we can reach a player. So how good is the situation within crossing for a player? And you see all the components and all the elements which I talked about earlier before. And this is a core topic to see what is necessary to bring in, to take into context when developing this X cross value. And you see it from X goals, which is discussed very often with this, which is dealt in a different way regarding to the data deliverer. But for us, it is necessary now to look as well on the X cross, and it's a little bit like the X goals value, but to find there as well an insight and to know from this which player makes the most out of certain situations. And this is something to see how players are developing, and what we want to do is developing these players at the end and giving them support to develop their own characteristics. And that's why I hope to give you a short and quick, because it was a massive amount of quick informations in a short time, to give you a quick insight about what we are doing and regards to the crossing section. So thanks for your attention, and I'm happy to discuss more the topic with you guys.
Thank you, Timo. How passionating it is to see all those insights. First of all, I'm quite curious and also looking at time, because we're already at the 40th minute of our first half, just to go around the table among all our experts guests, just to get your feedback, your reaction, also from your league perspective maybe, but what this specific focus on crosses and performance inspires you. Maybe starting with Simon. I think it was quite interesting to see also the Bayer Leverkusen metrics there. It looks like you guys are making less crosses, but you are very performing in finding the right players in order to score goals. What this cross study inspires you, Simon?
Yes, first of all, thanks to Timo. It was very interesting. As you said, Stefano, it's right. We've got a completely different style of play, so that's why we don't have that big amount of crosses. And to be honest, it always depends on the players you have on the pitch. If we play with a striker like Patrick Schick, our best scoring striker, it's more easy to find him and cross to him than when we played when he was injured and we didn't really have a real number 9. It was more difficult to cross or to make high crosses. So then we changed a bit the style of play, and we don't really want it to be successful with crosses. So as Timo said, they have a high number of crosses, a high amount of crosses, because they train it every day, and it's a kind of philosophy in their style of play. But it's not the same with our coaching stuff. And it's one KPI for them for Hoffenheim, which is very important. Because the coach is I think it's a big focus for him to be successful in that way, but not for us. So it's always a question of philosophy. But it was very interesting to hear that. Thanks, Timo.
Thank you, Simon. And I think it's very interesting what you just mentioned, is that it's very much also based on players and how a player profile can affect or modify or inspire a certain style. And Timo, I was quite curious to know if David Rome would eventually have to be transferred from you guys. We don't wish you that. How much that would change, would impact the style of games by Hoffenheim?
Yeah, I think what Simon says is just a right thing, because at the end it's one topic in the philosophy, but it's one out of many others, and that's why you always have to look at the squad and what gives you the squad. And I think what we did in the past is that we try to develop these players through this information, and that's why that's our aim, of course, to make them better. And if they reach a certain level, it's great for them, because then other clubs will look at this player as well. And at the end, we made our job. So it's like the football dynamic, you can say. And at the end, we have not only David Raum in our squad, we also concentrate on these other players to develop them. And you can see like also the steps. I think he is quite often in the media, and that's good for him, and that's always good to see. But there are also other players who got a good rank, and at the moment it's quite good that he performed on this level. And that's why to have then the possibility, what I mentioned earlier before, to look at the stats and to compare it with other players in the whole world. This is as well a big aim if it comes to a situation that one player, perhaps David Raum, perhaps another player, is sold after a season. We have to be aware that we need another one who fits exactly into the system. And that's why it is good to be aware that we also have like shadow players in one case, you can say, to know that they would fit into the role and into the playing system. And this is as well something. And you always know that as well the playing system is developing not only from coach to coach, but as well within the coaching stuff and within a year and the season. And that's why it's good to be aware of all these facts. Yeah.
No, that's absolutely very interesting, Timo. There, I'm quite curious as well, and I think I will take this opportunity of having some representative from other leagues, and especially with Salim. We know Olympique de Marseille and Sao Paulo game style is a bit similar. Of Hoffenheim with this very active role of the wings. So, how much this cross analysis that Timo just made is compelling and inspiring for you guys at Olympique de Marseille?
Yes, actually, it has because I have been working on a similar project with tracking data, but but actually the question that I had, I don't know if I can ask a question to Timo, but
Please
does
do
it,
so.
do you focus only on the direct aspect of crosses, or for example, do you take into account the rebound? For example, a cross can be considered as a failed cross because it doesn't hit a teammate in a good position. But if we are positioned in a good way, we can receive the ball in a dangerous position after the rebound. Is it something that you take into account or not? Because I saw in the last video with the pitch control layer, there was no Hoffenheim players positioned at the entry of the box. So I don't know if it is something that you focus on or not.
Yeah, thanks for the question. And this is a great question because at the end, not every single ball will be played where it should be. So that's why we have always these second balls. And if we talk about these second balls, I think we have to talk about the position of the players in the box, what you said, right? And that's why it's a great question because at the end, maybe you have a great space occupation because you bring many players in the box, but they are not located in the right position because they are not located in the danger zone. So what is the zone where mainly the goals are scored from? And this is as well something where we have to look at. And if we bring many players nearby this position, so bring them quite nearby them, it's good to have them around the ball to counter press, so to press against and to win the second balls. And that's why that's as well something which is then necessary. I think it depends on the situation because it depends on the running path and on the patterns you have. And what you said as well is we need to find a balance in between finding good position to cause this danger and as well in tasks of the rest defense. That's why that's exactly what we need to have, like a perfect situation for all circumstances.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And for your training, do you focus on some specific types of crosses, or does it cover all the types of crosses? Why I ask the question? Because I think that it is much more efficient, for example, because in training you will much more focus on crosses where the opponent defense is well positioned. And but for example, the last example, I think it was against Bayern Munich, where it was a cross after a counter attack when the Hoffenheim player was alone in the box. So, for example, if you want to measure the efficiency of your training, do you isolate just the crosses against a well-positioned box, or do you take into account all the type of crosses?
Yeah, I think we take into account every single cross because at the end, what I said, before is we have to find as well the practical approach. So we can't deal with like 20 different scenarios of crosses, but we deal with like a certain amount of, and now the players know what to do in a certain situation. And I think it doesn't depend that much on how many players are in the box, because in the normal time there are at least two or three players in the box, even in a counter attack. But we have to know which running paths are interesting and what position do I need to have at the end, because I know that there will be a situation where I create space. And to bring this together, I think is the essential part. So we do also see that there's a difference between the counter attacks and as well the normal situation out of the play. And that's why you have also be aware like of the style of the opponents. If they fall with many players in the box all the time, you need to find another cross. Then if you have like a situation where they stand in a high line and you often create space in between the goalkeeper and the last line of the defenders. So it depends. And this is then as well what you bring together in the opponent analysis, to have all these facts, and then you can see, okay, against this opponent, a certain style of a certain type of cross is necessary, and you can bring in focus then in training, and then you build as well the bridge again.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's very interesting discussion there. But as a great football game, time runs by so quickly. Just before we whistle at the end of this first half of Tiki Data Day, I would like just very quickly, Andres, just to have your insights from a Premier League perspective, how much this cross analysis is compelling from you with your experience at Leeds United with the Marcelo Bielsa. It would be great to have your quick insight on that, Andres.
Oh, it's very interesting. It's something that we focused on a lot. We didn't quite do the analysis that Timo does at Hoffenheim, but we focused a lot on this in training and in videos. What we looked for was to see what areas the opponent left unprotected, and that was our focus for the opponent. So if we saw that they left a certain position in the box unprotected, then we would practice this in training, and that was more our way of doing it. We didn't collect so much data, but the concepts were all very, very similar.
Thank you, Andres. And it's already 9:59. We're only a few minutes away from the French focus halftime of the Tiki Data Day. First of all, I would like to thank you all. Thanks, Timo, first of all, for your insight, and thank you all. Thanks, Simon, Marco, Salim, Andres, Alexandre, and Carl. Apologies if we didn't manage to all of you interact today, but that's very promising, because the concept, the content, it will be great also to have your insight. It's very interesting, and we'll definitely improve that in the coming episodes of the series of Tiki Data Days. So for the moment, that's all for us. We're going to take a very short break. I know some of you will be with us for the second half of the French focus session. I think that, of course, Salim, you'll be among us, and maybe Timo as well. You might be able to free some of your time, if I think so, to be able to attend the French session. For all the other ones, again, thanks a lot. Thanks, Arnaud, for organizing the session. Thanks, Antoine, from Oxygen Stream, who is our partner in setting up Tiki Data Days to direct all the envision of the event. For the moment, that's all. Keep it up, and we'll let you know for the coming up events of Tiki Data Days by SportsDynamics. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.